me start recording. Cool. Welcome to Texas Rugby Referee Association webinar. Today we are focusing on refereeing the high school game and youth, but this is mostly on high school since that's the majority of the U19 games that we referee with, full 15 aside, full minute halves. My name is Kat Roche. For those of you who don't know, I am the TRA chairman and I referee. So that's all you really need to know. Cool. All right, so for this webinar, we're going to talk about priorities of refereeing, expectations, specifically how do they relate to the U19 game, and then communication. All right, so first up, priorities of refereeing. Can anybody give me what they think the number one priority of refereeing is?
Safety.
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 Great. I am so glad. And then number 2 and 3, if you mix these two up, there's 3. I will forgive you. Number 2 priority refereeing.
Consistency.
Consistency. Yep. So facilitate a fair contest. So consistency in how you apply the laws to either side and throughout the game. And then number 3.
Red cards.
No. That's like the opposite.
Well, that goes into safety, just saying.
Number 3, priority of refereeing. May blow your mind, but what are you out there to do?
Have fun.
Have fun. Excellent. That really should just say rugby, but I made it say youth rugby. So memes are back, guys. It's 2021. All right, so safety, so important, especially in the U19 game. It's super important in the adult game, but especially in under 19 in high school. These kids are our future, and we don't want them to have brain damage. All joking aside, it's really the most important thing. So every time you're out there refereeing, you're making a decision, you're thinking about a U19 game, always come back to safety. Is this safe? Should I allow this to continue? So some of the things that I want us as a collective unit to apply, and this will only work if we're all doing it, and this will actually change behavior of the teams and the players because, like Mark said, it'll be consistent. Week in and week out, these players will know that this is what is going to happen. So we're not playing advantage on foul play. So dangerous tackles, particularly, but any foul play, just don't play advantage on it. Draw attention to the incident. If you've got a high tackle, you have a tackle over the shoulder, you have a shoulder charge, blow it, stop the game, let everyone, everyone knows, oop, there was a penalty, that was bad. Boom. If you do that, the players will become more aware and expect that. If you are playing advantage, the message gets completely lost. People get really frustrated. Make sense? Cool. Nobody answered, so I assume it makes sense. Dangerous tackles. Obviously, we've got high tackles. And hopefully we all remember the framework from the foul play session we did a couple months ago, or that you look at because you put it on the wall above your bed and look at it every night when you go to sleep. Just me? No? Okay. So your mitigating factors, etc. Dangerous tackles. We've got, anyone have any idea of dangerous tackles that aren't necessarily high?
Dump tackle.
Dump tackle, yep. So what goes into the dump tackle specifically? What are we looking for?
Do the legs go above the head, and does the head, neck, shoulder area hit the ground?
So lifting beyond the horizontal, doesn't have to go all the way. Woo.
Yeah.
But yep, lifting beyond the horizontal, what part of the body hits the ground? Cool. Anyone else, other dangerous tackles?
No arms.
No wrap.
Yep.
Shoulder charge.
No wrap, shoulder charge. Awesome. Another tackle I want to bring in, and I don't have great video of it because the games that I saw happen a lot in this weekend, there wasn't great video, is this judo slam type tackle, which we're going to talk about when we get to it. Scrum safety, when in doubt, go uncontested. As it happened, Aaron Jameson and I were on a game the other weekend, and Aaron's like, just go uncontested. And the second I went uncontested, the game became so much better because we weren't wasting time at this terrible scrum. And so they were playing, the fun part of rugby. Scrums are super important, but if it's not safe and you're going to waste half your time there, just go uncontested. It's not worth it. So kudos to Aaron Jameson for telling me that. Thanks. All right. Dangerous tackles. So I'm going to play the video. If it's choppy, I'll try to play it multiple times. It's not the Six Nations, so it's not the best video. It's all high school. And then I'm going to see what everyone's thoughts are. All right. Thoughts on that? It was in the beginning. Yeah.
I can't tell what happened.
I know.
So it looks like it started around the neck. It's hard to tell though.
Does it look? It looks like a hip throw. Was it a hip throw?
A what?
I can barely tell.
Like a hip? It almost. I'm not sure if it looks like a hip throw. It's kind of far for me to tell from this angle, but I don't know. Maybe if you could walk us through it, because it's kind of, I don't know, blurry and really choppy on my.
Shitty high school video. I don't pay for premium Wi-Fi. You're good. It's totally fair. So what you've got is an open field tackle, and this is particularly when these happen. So you got a nice open field tackle, and a player's just going to stick his arm out over the shoulder, and it's indirect contact to the head. So it gets the shoulder first and then kind of swings over the head because the player kind of ducks out of it and then ends up taking him down by just the shoulder of the shirt. But it's definitely over the shoulder, indirect contact to the head, open field. What decision are you thinking based on what I explained?
Penalty only.
Penalty only? Anyone else got anything different?
I think it's going to depend on how long has the game been going on, what part, you got to look at, what part of the field, and, just kind of, I would say, take different things that are happening within the game and kind of base your decision off that. But obviously, if it's the first time, I mean, you want to give them a fair warning if it wasn't intentional. If it happens again, then, maybe you go to yellow card. Again, I just think the scenario is going to dictate. I don't know if anybody else thinks.
Anybody else have anything? I think that's a great response, Cesar. I think in the U19 game, it's pretty difficult to create a strict guideline. Because if you were to yellow card every single high tackle like this, you'd probably end up with like 12 guys on each team. That's just how it is. So I think it's a fantastic response, to kind of look at the situation, but most importantly, blow your whistle immediately, draw attention to it. Penalty, high tackle, not having that. if you decide that it's warranted a yellow card, go ahead and yellow card it. But as long as we're not playing advantage, we're just blowing that whistle really fast. I think you're good. All right. Okay. Hopefully videos get a bit better. What about this one?
Looks clean already.
Can you restart it?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that Joe Monks?
Don't worry about who it is. All right. Thoughts
Okay.
on that?
I see one tackler comes in high. The second one comes in and hits him low, which causes the second tackler to go even higher.
Yeah.
It
Right.
looks like it's.
But
she's
she releases
wrapping
and
the
lets
ball,
them come
not
down. Yeah.
tackling.
No, but the shoulder contact to the head because
It's hard to
because
tell.
the other tackler going low, making her.
It's hard to
collapse.
tell from. Is there?
It's too bad you didn't have a better
Yeah,
camera angle
I
on
see
that
it.
one.
Yeah, camera angle's not helping.
We got
I think the takeaway here is blowing it up right away. High tackle, blow it up right away.
Okay. So yeah, so whatever you see here, I think from what I'm seeing, this camera angle, I'm happy with the play on. But look at where your referee is and what your referee probably sees. They see the white player's back, arm over the shoulder. So based on where they're standing, absolutely looks like a high tackle and is absolutely the right call to make a statement, blow it up. Because in the U19 game, you don't want to be like, well, I didn't see it, so we're going to play on when you saw most of what happened. Because does anybody here disagree with his call? Nope. Penalty. They all back up. So I think based on the position the referee was standing in and what he saw, which would have been an arm over the shoulder, great call. Great timing. Immediately blew the whistle, nice and loud. So, yeah.
Ken, the one thing I really like about the way you described that call, not only is it a good place for the players to reset, the other players knew what they were doing, and they can do one phase at a time. Not only does it set the tone that you're not going to allow the dangerous tackle, you're going to stop it, reset it, but it also encourages them to reset and get into the rest of the game. They know something went wrong, everybody reset, now you continue play. It's a fair contest at that point.
Yep. Exactly. All right.
So, Kat, can I ask you a question on that one?
Yes.
Okay, you'd preface that by saying based on where the referee was standing. Would you make a recommendation that perhaps the referee could be positioned elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, the referee kind of stops and is waiting for the players to run to them. When you could be putting a little more effort into getting back with the ball, might put you behind this player or alongside this player in a position where you wouldn't just be seeing the back of the tackler.
So if the referee worked a little bit harder to get in the pocket, you think that might be a position where you'd see it a little differently?
Yeah, definitely. I also think sometimes you just, no matter which way you picked, it might happen that you see the wrong thing.
Or the right thing, you know?
Or the right thing. But definitely if they had worked harder, that they would have been in a, I think, better position.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Yeah, great question. All right. Dangerous tackles. This one's very high up in the beginning. I wish I could slow it down.
Oh, he didn't even wrap.
No wrap.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
arms.
So thoughts there.
Yeah, it's a no arms tackle or a nudge.
I think you have to take, again, this is one of those things where you have to take into account, obviously, no arms tackle. Who else was in front? Was the opposing team going to be able to make that tackle? Did he have, was he pretty much free to run to score the try? And then, use different mitigating factors to whether, yellow card or red card.
Yeah, right. Your first thought should be safety. The second one is likely outcome based on direction and pace of play, right?
Yeah. So what could the referee have done better in this situation?
Blown it.
Not be so slow.
This. Why hasn't the whistle been blown yet? Kid dead on the ground. We're 7 seconds in. It's 6 seconds of the referee not blowing the whistle. With a child dead on the ground.
Wonder who this referee is.
Look at that.
Jeez.
Doesn't a mess. An absolute mess. AR doesn't even flag it.
I noticed the AR hasn't even made it into the shot yet.
So yeah, this is something, especially in the U19 game, safety. You got to just blow it. Oh, but they could have. It doesn't matter. This is not an international match. Blow it. Protect the players. Make sure that player's all right. As it continues, the player is injured. It's their leg. It's not their head. But imagine if it had been a head injury, that extra 6 seconds that you're just not blowing the whistle because why?
So, Kat, I have a question.
Yeah.
And it may be covered later but can we talk about how we should be communicating with high school and youth players?
That's under communication, which is the last part of this presentation.
Perfect.
Awesome. He's always getting ahead of me.
So, Kat, for the last one, what's the outcome? What's your recommendation, or what does the group think should happen?
Caesar, what did you say? Yellow or red? You said it depends on the situation.
To me, that's a red card all day long. But, obviously safety first, red cards.
Okay.
It's really hard for me to tell because it's choppy right now, especially at the point of contact. Is there direct contact to the head?
Not that I saw.
Shins.
It looks shoulder to shoulder to me.
Okay.
So not direct contact to the head, shoulder to shoulder. No more.
Cesar, I agree with you because if you're watching this play and you're the referee, the reason you stick your arm out or blow your whistle, because that looks nothing like the sport. It's not what we want the children to learn or emulate or do. They can do it at football. But at rugby, when they do that, we have to stop, correct it.
I think since there's no direct contact to the head, it's only a yellow card.
Yellow card.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Is anybody thinking penalty try?
Well, yeah.
Potentially. It doesn't look like there's anyone else who could.
Yeah, I would have given a penalty try here.
Now, gauge you.
If I was the referee.
From 35 yards out, that's a long penalty try.
Yeah, but look, he beat the last defender. Look, he's outpacing that guy.
Okay.
Yeah. 7s or 15s?
Already outpacing.
I think that makes a difference.
15s.
Just 15s?
Mm-hmm.
I think I should have gotten penalty try.
So penalty try, yellow card?
Yep.
Okay.
I still think penalty try is a little tough, but you could argue it either way.
No, and
that's
perfectly. That's as long as you can argue what you do, you can be right. There's a lot of wiggle room in the law book. So as long as you can argue and back up your decision, bang on.
So what would be a better outcome? Penalty try and yellow card, or red card, no penalty try? Because you could go either on that.
Well, Steve, I have empathy with the ball carrier there, being on the receiving end of that a few times in my own career. Someone coming in with no intention to tackle, the ball carrier ends up limping off injured. He's probably going to miss 6 weeks. So if the attempted tackler misses 2 weeks, I think that would be fair if you got a red card. And you can still get a red card penalty try, can't you?
Oh, yes, certainly. I was just throwing
That was
options.
actually my next question.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about a couple more of that fruity stuff, that whole like that vibe of like, well, this and that later. So we're just doing the foul play now. Cool. Next clip.
Penalty only.
Looks like play on.
Chris, why do you say penalty only?
Arms over the shoulder to seatbelt tackle, but there's a mitigating factor with the player going low as well, so no card.
Tim, why do you say play on?
I don't see any head or neck contact. I just see it's around the shoulders.
You're
Maybe I'll have
both
to,
kind of
maybe I need to put my glasses on.
You're both right and you're both wrong. Chris, what is the sanction for a seatbelt tackle?
I'd have to look it up specifically. I usually just say penalty only.
Okay, that's right. Seatbelt tackle, penalty only. And you said there's a mitigating factor,
He's
right?
going low.
Okay.
The ball
Yeah.
carrier, he's going
So-
to the ground.
So apply a mitigating factor to the basic sanction for a.
Okay, so play on. Okay,
You got
okay.
half of it. I was like, you're right there.
Okay, fair enough.
And Tim
I
is.
didn't see the penalty either, but the thing that I didn't like is the cleanup. The guy comes in and just dives, and he's never on his feet.
Oh my!
And so the
most
tackler is penalized.
The most
for what
gorgeous
he did.
low clean out. Oh my! No.
He's not on his feet. He's not on his feet. He just slops over the guy, and he's
That is a textbook.
That's
Tony.
disgusting.
That is a
That's a good
textbook low
clean-out.
clean out. That is
Yeah.
textbook low clean out.
But that's not how we want to teach these kids to play the game. And I
That's
just
the USA
that's
selector
so
one.
dangerous. If that kid's rolled over the kid to tackle, that's what's dangerous.
I wouldn't say that's dangerous. He came in low and controlled, hit the body, not the head.
Good play.
Tackler's really low. That's
He
good.
goes
And
in
then-
low
It's
to
not
clear
a
the guy
t-
off.
It's not an Ireland red card.
Bro, that is a
Sorry,
textbook.
Tim.
That is a textbook clean out, and if they could all clean out like that, we're in business.
He used arms in it. He even used arms in that.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Let the boys play, Aaron. Oh,
Yeah, we're totally looking at different things.
I think we're looking at it differently. I think we're looking at it differently. All right, so we all agreed that one was play on.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. This one, I apologize. It's going to be hard to see, but we're going to talk about it a bit. Why does it? That's not the one I put in there. Hold on. I'm going to bring it up because I really want you guys to be able to see it.
Hey guys, just a reminder to mute as best you can when you're not talking.
Okay. Can you guys see this video existing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the tackle is coming up. All right. So off the bat, does anybody see anything that they don't like about that?
Is that the jujitsu you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's not really a tackle.
Yeah, not wrapped, not safely brought to the ground, as well as it looks like he's slung by something, from the pectorals up.
Yeah. So if you can see that little like dark colored thing that slams into the ground, that's his head. So I like to call these judo slams because that's what I think they are. And it's super, super dangerous. So and here's the thing, it doesn't say necessarily it's illegal in the law book because they are wrapped. A player does wrap them up and a player does bring them to ground. But here's the thing, it's not safe. It's super dangerous and you're going to have kids with broken ribs and concussions all day long. So this is something that I want the entirety of the TRRA to be on the same page about. So when we go out there and referee, we are all penalizing these slam tackles. So if a player stops the momentum of their opponent and then swings them to the ground, that's at the lowest a penalty. Are we all on the same page with that?
I think that's up there with the spinning, swinging, spinning tackle, whatever you want to call it. That's up there with that. It's just like Steve Perrell just said here in the chat. It's just dangerous play.
Oh, if the ball carrier, let's say, lands on their back, penalty only, neck, head, card, depending on the severity.
Yes. Yeah. So I had one of these this past weekend. It was a kid who was probably 225 pounds versus a kid that was like 140.
Jesus.
And the kid broke his rib. Unless we are all on the same page, the teams are going to get mixed messages and they're going to keep tackling like that. If they go out and every single weekend the referee penalizes that tackle or cards players for that tackle, we will not see it moving forward because everyone's going to know you can't do that. They're going to penalize you for that. But
I have had actually youth coaches asking me about that sort of tackling.
Yep.
And in prior years, believe it or not, they'd let teams play on.
Yeah, well, and exactly, because in the law book, there's nothing that specifically is against that. It just falls under dangerous play. And that's just something I can't allow. And it's so painful to watch. So are we all on board with that? Do we think we can spread that message moving forward? Do we think we can all apply that into the U19 game? And the reason I emphasize the U19 game is because you very, very rarely see it in adults because it's just such poor technique that none of them do it. It's very wasteful of energy to stop somebody and then completely move them. It's just adults are smarter than that and they don't want to waste their energy. They're like, seems lazy. Like they're like, well, I don't want to do that. So that's why. But kids have so much.
Why are you so hard on the kids?
The kids have so much energy. Are you kidding me? I'll get to it. I'll get to that. Okay.
So do you still want us to call this in men's and women's rugby, I assume, correct?
If you see it and it's dangerous, yes. I don't think I've ever seen it and it was dangerous in the game. Because there's many levels of this. Because it's a wrapping up and bringing to ground. And the slam kind of varies from really dangerous to not so dangerous.
I don't know.
So, Kat,
Yes.
Oh, hi, Kat. This is Ozzy. Just real quick, I know this is high school, but how would you like us to interpret that for the adult game, just while it's on our mind?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what Chris just asked. If it's dangerous, you should penalize it. But I'm telling you, it is far more dangerous in the youth game than it has ever been in the adult game.
So, Kat, we've all dealt with coaches who want specifics and everything. Are we just expected, when they ask why they were penalized for that, just that it's a dangerous tackle?
Yes, it's a dangerous tackle.
And if they ask how it's dangerous, we'll explain you're running the risk of slamming a person's head to the floor.
Yeah, right. They're not bringing them safely to the ground.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's with malicious intent. Okay. I just want to make sure we all have our same explanation. We don't have to stress about, specifically it's law 14.3 or something like that. This is clear as it's dangerous.
Yep, exactly.
Kat, I think a good rule of thumb here is if it doesn't look like a rugby tackle, then it's not a rugby tackle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, if I was coaching referees on this, what to look for would be distance between the tackler when he wraps up or she wraps up and the tackle and the player being tackled. Because on a good legitimate there's no distance, there's no reach, so to speak. So that would be the coaching point I would look for. Like if, it's going to be a flip or judo tackle, if there's distance and reach between the tackler and the tacklee. I mean, that would be the coaching point that I would throw out there on that. If there's distance and a slam, that's the automatic penalty right there.
Yep.
Yeah, if it looks like Owen Farrell would have made the tackle, don't do it.
That's the greatest thing I've heard all day. Awesome. Great. All on the same page with that. No more judo slams. Save that for the mat. All right. Next clip. What does anyone think of that? They're all moving slower and it's a better camera angle for once.
No problem.
Thoughts?
Over the shoulder tackle. Good call.
Happy with
The referee in this instance really was on top of it and blew the whistle early and set a very clear standard that even in slow motion, going over this shoulder is not going to be accepted in this match. I firmly agree with the call.
I just want to know who manages to go over the shoulder of the tallest guy on the field, which I'll bring up in our expectations of U19 matches.
The short guy, always.
Yeah, it's like a piggyback move. I'm going to jump on your back.
Cool. So we're happy with penalty only there. Over the shoulder, there's no direct head neck contact, just a seatbelt tackle. But nice quick whistle here, right? Everybody knows. Nice clear signal. Great blue jersey. Awesome. Last thing I've got is for the videos is scrum safety. If a scrum is not safe, blow it up immediately. My message. And if they continue to not be safe, go uncontested. Right? So I think here the referee does a good job. They're kind of walking away. They're looking at the ball, and then suddenly they're like, oh my, it just went to shit. Blow the whistle, come back really fast. So that's great. A little faster if he could, but he's back, so we'll forgive him from running away from the scrum. I know in the adult game, some of us, mainly myself, tend to like to shut your eyes and let the scrum happen and then be like, is the ball out? Please let the ball be out. Is the ball out yet? Got to make sure we're really watching this and just keep them safe. If it goes, especially like this, wheels around, don't play on, don't play advantage, blow it up. Cool?
Get in the water, you
In U19, it's 45 degrees, right?
Yep. U19 is 45 degrees.
And you can only push 1.5 meters.
You can only push 1.5 meters, yes.
Gotcha.
You. It's like you have a game. All right, so just to recap for the foul play, we're not playing advantage on foul play. So especially dangerous tackles, just blow that whistle immediately. High tackles, dangerous tackles. As Drew pointed out, you don't need to have a very specific law pulled out in the law book for dangerous tackles. If it is dangerous, you should penalize it. And when they ask why you penalized it, say it's dangerous. That's a law. Scrum safety, blow it up immediately if it's not safe. When in doubt, just go uncontested. You'll get a better rest of the match. Honestly, you'll get more open play. So it's not worth it. All right. Facilitate a fair contest. So it's applying laws evenly to both sides. So it's consistency to either team as you're applying it and throughout the match. So if you call this person for not releasing and the other team does the exact same thing, you should call them for not releasing. If it happens 45 minutes later, it should be called again for not releasing. So you can only play to the ref if the ref's consistent. You hear that all the time, right? They're like, play to the ref. You can't do that if the ref keeps changing their mind about what's cool and what's not. And then this go back to our, I think we did the advantage presentation a while back, but the players are going to forget whatever happened that led to a penalty advantage. So if you're playing an advantage, be dang sure you're going to get that advantage, because otherwise you're coming back and you're pretending you're teaching a lesson. You're like, 4, you have to roll out. And 4 is like, what? 4 doesn't even think he made that tackle. Like 4 is somewhere else. No one remembers. So if you want to make a statement, do it right there in the moment, but you're not going to teach a lesson through advantage. So awesome. Have fun. Kids are out there to play a sport that they love. So make it enjoyable. Like don't be so mad. Don't be so serious.
And Kat, can we add one more topic?
What? Well, I've got more topics. This is just the first.
Never mind.
We're not done yet.
And this was a nice grand finale.
This is
pretty fun.
Why? What's so funny?
Well, it's like when I start to explain to my teenager that I used to be a kid, and they look at me and go, "You don't understand what kids deal with today."
This is a high school. This is a high school rugby match. I'll let you know. This is a high school rugby match.
Yes,
2010.
exactly. You're proving the point that you were a kid, but it's still not the same as kids.
I'm an expert in high school rugby. I played it. Yeah. All right. That was fun.
Oh.
Yeah, Ozzy, we're not done. Expectations. I know. Seemed like a great place to wrap up, but it's not. So U19 expectations. It's not the World Cup. It's not an adult game. They are very often athletes. They're very fast. They are very fit. They are very athletic. But a lot of them aren't rugby players. So they don't know what's going on. You're there to referee, not coach. So I said this, you can teach a lot of lessons as a referee with the way you call things, the timing of when you call things, and how you explain things, but you are not a coach. So clarify that role, teach lessons the way you can teach lessons, but be cautious about mixing too much into the coaching, because you're going to blur that line in their heads. And so then they will think they can talk to you like they talk to their coaches. So teach your lessons, but be the referee. Does that make sense?
So spending 5 minutes to explain a point is probably not appropriate in the middle of a match?
You know what? Probably not. Probably not. I like what you did there. See, I've seen it too. More expectations. They will go 110% the entire time. The tank will not empty. They will not stop. And they will continue moving 110%. So you have to match it. You have to go out there and expect them to go balls to the wall. This is terrifying because they're going to go balls to the wall with everything they do. They're going to tackle at 110%. They're going to run at 110%. They're going to pass at 110%. The ball's going to go flying. And then they're going to get mad at 110%. They are very emotional. Their emotions are very close to the surface. And this will happen. It'll happen between you and them. It'll happen between them and their teammates. It'll happen between them and the other team. If you go out there and you expect that to happen, you will be better prepared for when it does. And then this game is the most important thing in their lives. Different with club rugby and college and, professionals, they all have other lives. For kids, sport is what they do. So this is the most important thing that they're going to do today, maybe even this week. And if you don't go out there and give that the respect it deserves, you're doing a massive disservice, and they're going to become more upset because they can feel that. And whether it's just a Friday night game for you and you've got the big show on Saturday, you need to pretend it's the most important thing in your life if it's not. Cool. Expectations. Great. So those are expectations. So now we're going into it, and we got to communicate all of this. All right. This is where I make fun of kids again. Their brains aren't fully developed yet. Their emotions are very close to the surface. They are less in control of their actions and words. Oftentimes, and there may be youth referees, I understand that, but you are the voice of reason and the voice of calm on the pitch. Once again, expectations. You have got to expect that this is going to happen. They're going to freak out. They are going to be super, super passionate. I'm not saying go out there and let a kid yell at you and tell you how shit you are, but I am saying you need to be in control of your own self. And instead of, yelling at a kid or telling a kid to shut up, maybe just calling the captain, hey, I really can't have Seven talk to me like that. Please do something. I don't want to have to send him off, because you want to have as many players on the field for as long as you can. You want them playing the game. Cool. All right.
You said it right there, but just having been around kids and coached them and then had the pleasure of repping them, and all this, and everyone knows, I'll just say it. If you start the game off at the very beginning, I talk to the coaches, get their feedback, and then ask who's the captain. And then I don't talk to almost anyone on that team except for that captain by name. Jeff, okay, so what's going on? So during the game, if there's a problem with the player, especially at that age group, you can distance yourself from their emotions by, turning to Jeff. Okay, Jeff, we're having a little issue with number 5. Is there anything you can do about it? And boy, do they respond to that age group, to that type of respect. Because the captain is, a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, and you're treating that person like an adult. That person, that captain will take care of your problem for you. It's almost like magic. It's anything. It really is really important at that age group, and you get a lot of benefit from that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Give them the responsibility. That's awesome. I'm so glad you said that, because I didn't actually think about that. But yeah, exactly what Ozzy said. A lot of them are keen to listen and learn, as long as you are treating them with respect. They spend their whole life being talked down to, or what they believe is being talked down to. So if you respect their game and respect them, they're a lot more likely to respect you. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen all the time. They might tell you to F off. You can red card that player. That's fine. I'm not saying allow that. But what I am saying is set yourself up for success. Be clear with what you're saying, and we'll get into this on the next slide, and give them actionable items, things that they can actually do and they understand. Then just a nice quote here. Remember, 7% of what is communicated is words, 38% is tone of voice, and 55% is body language. So think about all that. We did a presentation on communication. All right. U19s, rugby terminology. Remember how we said they are athletes and not necessarily rugby players? Yeah. They don't know all the rugby phrases. So when you say something, they might have no idea what you're saying and no idea how to react. So I've got a little game for us, drill. Okay. I'm going to pick on who wants to be picked on. Who wants to volunteer? I said it in a nice way. Who wants to volunteer? Ozzy.
I'll be Victor. Yeah. All right.
Drew, you can do the next one. I've got more. Ozzy, tackler release. How can you rephrase that and redirect that to make it more sense to a U19 player who might not understand what that means?
You know, let him go.
Let him go. Awesome. Perfect. Anyone else have anything that might work too? No, it's pretty great. Let him go. All right. Drew.
Okay, make the tackle and get out.
Action.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. What was
Action
it? No. I'm sorry. To quote a great man, it's not a beach. You can't lay on it. Is that right?
Well, we're not all Scott Green. It's not beach. Can't lay that night. What did you say before? Beach one. Make the tackle and get out.
Yeah.
Perfect. Actionable item. They have, okay, do this, then do this. Somebody else. Jump in here. Just throw out ideas. There's not a perfect answer for everything.
Well, this one you just say push straight, or you must push straight.
Stay straight. Don't turn around. That's good. Imagine you were on track. See, this is great. In case you're not in the chat reading. Imagine that you're on tracks. Stay straight. Don't turn. All right. Last foot.
Get onside. They should at least know what offside, onside is.
Maybe.
That's a bit of a stretch, even.
Take a step back.
That'll work.
Yeah.
On Friday, Kat, I saw you actually point at players, and you would just sort of point at them. I couldn't hear what you were saying, but they probably couldn't either, the kids. And when they saw you point at them, they'd react and then bounce back.
Yep. Identify
several
them.
times.
That's something that's really good. It's the whole 911 theory, that if you see someone on the ground and you yell, someone call 911, no one will call 911. Point at them, you call 911, and that person will call 911. Last one.
Yellow card.
Don't intercept unless you know you can make it.
Don't slap the ball.
Don't slap the ball.
This is a trick question, right?
Realistic chance of catching the ball. You didn't have a realistic chance of catching the ball. It went forward.
Or you made no attempt to catch the ball.
You made no attempt to catch the ball and it went forward.
This is not volleyball.
So those are just some examples that we kind of take for granted because we do this at all levels and we know what this means. But think about when you're reffing a U19 game, especially, and I mean, this happens with club as well, but especially 19, you might have to change the way you say some things to get a better response. Because if you get to the third breakdown and you're like, oh, the tackler's not rolling out, they're like, You make the tackle and get out as fast as you can. Oh, okay. So I have to make the tackle. As soon as I make the tackle, I gotta get out as fast as I can. Instead of just, oh, tackler, roll out. Cool. Makes sense to everyone? Wrap up of communication. You've got to be the cool head on the pitch. Don't take it personally. They're kids. They don't know any better. They're learning. Communicate
Yeah, but the coaches
communicate in a way they're going to understand. So just because it makes sense to you, it might not make sense to them. Give them actionable items. As soon as you make the tackle, get out. Okay. Then they know I've got to do this and then do this. Got to catch, like you have to have a realistic chance of catching the ball. You have to be able to catch the ball if you hit it forward. Okay. If I hit the ball forward, I have to be able to catch it. Okay. Okay. Actionable items, things that they can use in the game. And then they're kids. They're not adults. They may be playing this sport and they may think they're adults. They may, as much as possible, think they're adults and they think they're mature, but they're not yet. So don't expect them to be. Adjust your expectations. Know what you're going into. Be prepared for it. Give them the game that they deserve and work hard.
Kat, I'll raise my hand. Do you have a separate slide for the parents?
I don't. But it's a great point. Toolbox. So this is just everything we went over. Number one priority, safety. Always comes back to safety. Everything you do, safety. The game is for the kids, not for ourselves. So maybe you're working really hard to ref, high level game, and you're working on your toolbox of phrases, and that's great. This might not be the game that you get to implement everything, because if you make it about yourself and what you're working on, you might be ruining the experience a bit for the kids and the people who are playing this game. Manage your expectations. They're going to go 110%. They're going to be emotional. They're not going to know what they're doing on the most part, but they're really going to think they do. Manage them. Communication is essential. What you say, when you say it, and how you say it.
I touch a bit on that one, Kat. When I first started refereeing, I had a hard time. Having a military background, I was told that I always sound like I was yelling at people. And obviously in my mind, I was not. And as I continued doing this because I really love it and enjoy it, I was given some advice to have a book of phrases to the point where, it was, positive and negative and how do I want that to sound? And, if I was playing, how would I want that to be explained to me? So it's just some food for thought for some of the younger referees out there and, for your toolboxes.
Does anyone else have anything? That's all I've got.
Yeah, I do, Kat,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just because it's so convenient, it's a convenient time, and that's why I was distracted earlier when I thought of it. I guess if anyone's on this call and they're not refereeing in Texas for the year 2021, then the next minute or two might be completely irrelevant. But Rugby Texas adopted a handful of rules which are temporary.
Pause you for a second, Ozzy? I'm sorry. Can I pause you for a second? Does anybody else have a question specifically about this presentation as a whole before we get into the COVID-19 variations?
Was that coming up next anyway?
No, I just kind of wanted to wrap up this presentation for what it was. And
I wanted to say one thing, Kat, along the lines of using language that the non-lifetime kids playing rugby, like that whole, instead of saying roll away, move away, or pointing at someone that's offside to get back foot, because maybe back foot means nothing to them. I'm in total agreement with that, but I wouldn't like to stretch it to where we're telling kids the ball is out of bounds or we're in the try zone. I'd like to preserve the correct language those kind of times. You know, it's the ball carrier and the tackler and out of bounds and offside without an S on the end of it. Maybe I'm being pedantic. Yes, I am being pedantic, but I like to preserve the rugby terminology at other parts of the game so that we're teaching the rugby traditions to people. I do absolutely agree with your using the language at the right time, but I don't like to hear people saying try zone, out of bounds, the 40-yard line instead of the 10-meter line. You know, I'd like us to keep those terminologies correct, but then speak the language that they understand too.
So that is a fantastic point, and I completely agree with you. I think in any time you're talking about any of that in downtime or off the field or prepping, 100%, because you have the time for them to ask, what do you mean? Say, and then explain it. This was more focused, and I didn't say this, so thank you for bringing it up. This is more focused on in-game, in the moment management. So when you don't have the time to say, you know, last foot, and they're like, and then you penalize them, and you're like, you wanted the last foot, and they're like,
that's not fair, right?
What the fuck is she talking about? And they're like, get back 10. They're like, I have no idea what we're talking about. That's for that moment. But yeah, absolutely. And then if you can use it as a teaching moment in that moment itself, you know, you guys are driving straight and you're walking around. It's called wheeling the scrum. Then the next time you're wheeling the scrum. Okay, that means we're doing this. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. Cool. Does anybody else have any other questions regarding this presentation or its content before we get on to the COVID variations? No? Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So Ozzy now is going to go over a couple of COVID variations that Rugby Texas has implemented for their season this year. Take it away, Ozzy.
Okay, I really don't want to go through all of them. There are actually slightly different variations for the different age groups and different variations for 15 and 7s. And, you know, we have the chart that we sent around, and happy to walk through with anyone if you have any questions. I've talked to Paul Graham of Rugby Texas about this, you know, extensively. And again, you know, they're just trying to limit in-person contact as much as possible. But in the end, what it really does is, to me, it opens the game up a little bit. I'll go through just briefly the 15s variations for high school age. But remember, if you're anything else, it's slightly different. There's a table. It'll take us an hour to go through it all. We're playing 4 quarters if possible, so each team gets a water break halfway through each half. And the reason is because they should not be sharing water bottles. So this gives players a chance to actually get to each player's own water bottle if they can't do it during the quick breaks during the game. Subs are rolling, which just makes it easier for the refs. There's supposed to be an agreement of honor among the coaches. They're not supposed to do just squad subs back and forth, but we do not need to count subs, and player could come in and out. So that's one of your burdens that's completely off the table when we ref nowadays. And then just there's a few laws. Here's just a few key ones that tend to come up sometimes. For the high school scrums, they only have one scrum setting. So, you know, when you start the scrum, if it doesn't work out, you have to blow it up, then it's a free kick to the team that you think is worthy of that free kick. And the idea there is we don't have them just wasting or spending an entire minute or two just doing scrum after scrum. What we've seen reffing is, I think all the refs enjoy that, because by that point you'd rather be playing rugby anyway. And then for mauls, that's actually a relevant rule or law. The mauls are only permitted when the team is on the offense within the opponent's 22. So it limits the line out. No, I'm sorry, the line out mauls are only permitted at that point. So it limits a line out maul in the middle of the field. That's an interesting law amendment. It's actually, but I don't know how often high school teams would maul except when they're near the try line anyway. And there's a few other minor amendments there. Just take a look at the table. And I don't think it's worth us wasting everyone's time to go through them all unless you have questions.
One thing I'd say there, Ozzy, is that the Potomac referees reached out today and asked for those laws. They want to use the same laws up there, so it might become a across the country law as youth rugby comes back and until COVID goes away.
So a maul in the middle of the field, that's not allowed, like not a line out maul. Tackler held up.